Hey everybody, Tim here with tonight's episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 5, Episode 10, New Grounds. So, right from the start, this is the first episode to air after the 6th movie, Undiscovered Country, has aired. So, to let that kind of sink in, that means we are more or less done with the original crew. Now, at this point, Unification has already aired, so we've already seen Spock, but he does come back. Leonard Nimoy comes back in the 2009 movie. We do see a few of the characters in Generations. We'll see some of them show up in Deep Space Nine. We'll see Scotty next season. We'll see Sulu and Rand and Voyager. So we do see a lot of the characters come back. But as of now, the original crew, we don't see them together anymore. That's it. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So this episode is the return of Alexander Roshenko, Worf's son. So Worf's adopted mom shows up and basically says, you know what, I'm getting a little old to be a grandma. We can't handle another Klingon child. Even if he's only 3/4 Klingon, we can't really do it. He's yours. So she drops Alexander off and leaves. Alexander's having a very difficult time telling the truth. He's having trouble acclimating. And it's interesting because this is the first time we've really seen a main character kind of go through these situations. Now we saw Troy have her kid, and now we have Worf, and we even saw Data with his daughter, but they lasted like one episode and that was it. And technically we saw Worf with Alexander for one episode and that was it. Now we're actually seeing him have a child, and that's great. That's brilliant writing, because that's, at this point, I mean, you got to think, this is like 1991. Main characters didn't really have kids very often, because that's another actor that you're going to have to start paying. That's another character you're going to have to start keeping track of. So it's brilliant and it's brave for the writers to start including Alexander in there. And we'll see Alexander through the rest of the Next Generation, and we'll see him when Worf goes to Deep Space Nine. We'll see he magically gets way older, but whatever. We'll see Alexander continue through there as well. So it's really interesting. Some really interesting references. Kahless is brought up, which we saw Kahless in the Savage Curtain for the original series there at the end of season 3. They say Kahless or something, but whatever. It's interesting that, again, I've brought it up. I love the little tidbits that start from the original series and just kind of carry over. Super brief, but it shows that the writers are paying attention, and I love that. It brings continuity. It's great. I like it. So we met and we saw Kahless, and now we hear him mentioned. There's been some debate about but he was the smooth forehead, and then later on we'll see him with the rigid forehead. Well, I mean, you could, personally, I've never had trouble with that. Just explain it. Oh, you got a bigger budget, whatever. Suspension of disbelief. That's cool. Some people have said, well, in the Savage Curtain, that was their interpretation, because if you remember, it wasn't the actual Kahless. So you can explain it however you want. I don't think it's necessary. So the subplot is the Enterprise is chasing this wave that's supposed to redefine the way starships travel, so they don't have to use warp speed. It's not really that important. I like to focus on Alexander for this one mostly. Where's it going? Geordi, though, talks about the wave, and he says it's like witnessing Cochrane initiate the first warp drive. Again, we met Zephram Cochrane in the original series, so I like how they kept that. They established that this character named Zephram Cochrane created warp drive, and they've carried it on. And then when we get to First Contact, Geordi actually does get to see Zephram Cochrane initiate warp drive. So that's a great foreshadow there, because I doubt they actually knew about First Contact or even had a rough draft about it that far out. They mentioned Worf having some gray in his beard, which I don't know why that stood out to me, but I wrote it down. Troy just chases Worf all over this episode, and I thought that was kind of interesting because it makes sense in the context of the episode, because she's the counselor and she's like, you have a son now, that's huge, talk to me about that. Whereas we're in season 5 right now, when we get to season 7, they start having a relationship together. So I thought that was interesting. And I don't know. I'm kind of a film geek, so I like weird shots. And at one point, Troy and Worf exit the turbo lift, the elevator, whatever, through the front of the bridge. Normally we see them come out the back. and it's a really good shot. I love this shot because they're in the turbo shaft and the doors open and the two of them walk through and the camera follows them. It's really, really well done shot. I really liked it. Overall, the acting's great in this episode. I really like this one. And I like Alexander. I'm excited to watch him develop through the series. For those who have seen this one, do you guys like Alexander? Did you think it was a mistake to bring him in? Go ahead, let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys for everything, and I will see you guys next time for Hero Worship.